Welcome back. This is a video where you'd more listen to it rather than watch it. I'm leveling a low-level melee weapon, the Nami Solo. I don't particularly care for this weapon all that much, but I thought I'd throw on a frame that you don't normally see, which is Necros. And while I'm grinding this out, I can answer a question that I was asked about the content drought going on in Warframe right now. To be honest, it's not affecting me, not because I'm a newer player, but because I'm a veteran gamer. So let me explain what I mean by that. When I got in the game, initially, because this account isn't my first one, I was very drawn to the game, but because I was recuperating from pneumonia and coughing a lot, Warframe isn't a game that you want to cough in. But the first thing that I noticed was, okay, you have all these Warframes, and you level them up along with your weapons, and I couldn't find a definitive answer for, what do you do after you get them? You see what I'm saying? You know, the progression seems to be in leveling the weapons and the Warframes, but there's a lot missing in what you do after that. So I noticed that straight up, and I was like, oh, okay, well, since I have to put this down, maybe, by the time I pick it back up, there'll be a reason to level the weapons and the Warframes and whatnot. Because I understand, there's the index, there's sorties. I mean, there's stuff to do. But in my opinion, it's not what I would consider enough to not pace myself through the content. Let's put it like that. So I knew going in that I'd have to super pace myself. And I did. When I decided to start playing again, I created another account. And, I continued on my journey because I wanted to do things differently than I did on the first one. And I didn't feel like cocking around, waiting, and all of that. I wanted to enjoy my gameplay, and I have been enjoying my gameplay. But here's the thing about the content drought. There is one. Steve has acknowledged it, and they're working on it. One question is to resolve the content drought issue is, what is content? Like I said, is it leveling the weapons, or is it the stuff that you do after you get the weapons? To me, there's no point in having the weapons in the Warframes unless you're, doing badass things with them. And I thought that that's where these outdoor areas are going to come, into play. I was assuming that what they'll eventually end up doing is moving this indoor stuff out into the outdoor stuff, because I don't see the point of having it indoors and outdoors. So you may as well just be able to go, out into the plains, go to your missions, or go to Venus and go to your missions. And this indoor stuff is accessed from outdoors. Is that making sense? So there'd be stuff to do because you can add so many things in an outdoor area that you cannot with it being indoors like this. But of course, to do that, you have to add all the outdoor planets in the first place. So it's a process. Looking at it from that standpoint, you're talking years before all of them are done, or a sufficient amount is done for veteran players to have something to do. Now, okay, let's say that's not it. Maybe there's something else, more story-driven, because, I like lore, so maybe they're going to add more quests with raids, because they took raids out and they're going to be, putting them back in, and other game mechanics to do. But again, even if you were to come up with that fabulous idea right now, how long would it take to get that fabulous idea into the game. There needs to be lore around it because everything, the game is story driven and it's got quests and storyline and whatnot. So your story has to be done. The mechanics have to be laid out. And then this idea has to be brought to life. Depending on what the idea and the complexity of it, and if the game mechanics are in place already to do it, you're talking at least a year or 2 or 3, depending on the prep time needed to do it. So vets still aren't going to have anything to do. There's still going to be a content drought. There's no quick and easy solution to this that's legit under a year. I mean, there just isn't. So the only viable solution right now, while coming up with this plan for what this content is that would make the community happy, is to play something else. Which is what Steve said. That's why there's other games to play, to give them breathing room. Now, they did mention when Telltale, unfortunately, going through their issues, they said that they are hiring people. But again, that in itself is a process. Just because somebody from Telltale, is available, doesn't mean that they're the right person for the job, that they have the skills needed for the job, particularly with the art department. So, I don't know. And I don't mean this as a fault to anyone at Telltale, but the storyline in Warframe is 1,000,000 times deeper and more complex than anything they put out with Telltale. It is. And they did different kind of games there. They did the episodic games. So I don't even, not to say that these people can't adjust, but it's just not that simple when you're talking about hiring people and integrating them into a team. So my opinion on the content drought is that I knew there'd be one because, okay, for real, name a game, an online game that has an abundance of content that players want to do, where they feel like there's so much that they're just happy. They feel stuffed. They're being fed so much. That game doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And as a veteran player, I know that. So I know to pace myself through a game. Any game. I have a plethora of stuff. I was in WoW for forever, and I recently put it down. I'm not one to complain and stay, because the problem is me. They have a right to do with their game whatever they want to do. And if I have a problem with it, the problem is mine. So I'll bounce. I have no problem with that. I prefer to leave on a good note than stay and be bitter, whiny. That's just not my style. So if they release something else, I'm more willing to come back and look at it. But there's stuff in there that I haven't done. Elder Scrolls, I baited that game. I still haven't played all of the base stuff. I have options. I made damn sure, even though I was sick, I had options. So going forward, that's how I feel about the content drought in Warframe. That mofo is not going to affect me. I'm not going to let it, because I'm in control of that. I'm in control of how quickly I go through the content in any game. And with a single player game, you might want to go through it quickly and finish it just to finish it. Wait for some DLC if that's the case. But in an online game, particularly if your business surrounds, is based on that, I don't know. That's a new challenge that developers have to deal with now. People have made their business out of playing their games. And that's a hell of a lot of content to keep somebody occupied 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. So anyway, that's it for this one. For me, don't worry about Warframe content, because I made damn sure y'all will be fed, because I have tons of it in the pipeline. But let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you ever get fed up with a game, or not fed up, just nothing to do? What do? Stop playing it for a while, or what are your solutions? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.